My name is Bill Colley. I come from Scotland and I'm an independent educational consultant. In the past I've been the head teacher of a special school. I've worked in a mainstream school supporting children who have additional support needs, and more lately I've worked at local authority level across the whole authority looking after children who have additional support needs and managing a budget of around about £6 million. My background is in education. I was working in an independent school in a boarding house with children, boys and girls, between the ages of 10 and 13. And I became very interested in one or two youngsters who displayed difficulties with their learning. And this was before the time when we really understood developmental disorders such as autistic spectrum disorder, ADHD, and so on. But I had a series of unanswered questions, and when one particular youngster intrigued me, I did a lot of research and came to the conclusion that he was probably, he had attention deficit disorder, and in researching his difficulties I found ways of supporting him that ultimately led to very successful outcomes. And it occurred to me then that there were a large number of children who didn't have the support they needed and ended up in quite difficult situations later in life. My role in UKAP is to support the organisation at a strategic level in helping professionals develop an understanding of how educational supports can really help young people with ADHD, which of course first means recognising ADHD in the first place, and then putting in place the sorts of support that help them overcome their barriers to learning and to support them with their learning, with their behaviour, and in particular with their ability to interact and learn from interacting with others. I've worked with children from the ages of about 10 through to 18 with ADHD, both in the classroom and in social settings. So a lot of what I've had to do is to really help them develop a stronger sense of self, a more positive understanding of who they are. But I've always found that what's really important is for those young people to understand their own difficulties and why they feel differently to others and what they can do about it to help them overcome some of the barriers to learning that they have. I have just stepped down from my position at local authority level and I'm now an independent consultant. This allows me to work more directly with young people and with parents in particular to source the sort of supports that they need. Sometimes it's going to be an independent special school, sometimes that's looking for support that's put in place in a mainstream classroom, but in all cases it's trying to help young people overcome their barriers to learning. One of the things that's really influenced me and which leads me to be quite passionate about ADHD is seeing the very negative outcomes. Only last week, for example, I read of an inmate of a prison in Perth who overdosed on drugs, and when his mother made an impassioned statement in the local press, she identified the fact that he'd had ADHD and that his life had been very, very tough. I've seen positive outcomes, and I think the difference between what can be achieved and what often is achieved are two very, very different things, and that's why I'm very committed to UKAP.